Hello, and thank you for watching this weather update for Cotton Incorporated, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I am a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. Well, for the past few weeks, we have been forecasting a significant cool down for the end of September, and thankfully, that cooler air has finally arrived. This animation shows water vapor as measured by satellite over the eastern half of the United States. The large swirl centered over the Midwest and Great Lakes is the flow around a deep, cut-off upper-level low. Now, this circulation allows for cool, dry Canadian air to seep south in the United States, and this flow has finally knocked the oppressive heat and humidity out of the air for a large section of the U.S. Here's how the temperatures through the weekend are shaping up. I've been showing you animations of temperatures like this for several weeks now, and each time we kept seeing these 90s and even the hundreds spreading throughout the southern states. But with that upper-level trough, much cooler air stays in place for the next few days. But of more concern than the heat is what that upper-level system can produce in terms of rainfall. Here's the last 7 days of accumulated rain. And just as we forecast last week, fields in the Carolinas had to deal with the surge of tropical moisture from last week and then deal with repeated rainfall events this week. Many locations have received well over 3 inches of rain in the last 7 days. Fields across Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas saw much less rainfall, but outside of the panhandle of Texas, most of the rest of Texas was wet thanks to strong southerly flow full of moisture-rich air. But for the short-term forecast, I am very concerned for fields in the Carolinas. Let's look again at that water vapor animation. The eastern edge of an upper-level trough produces strong ascent in the atmosphere. Add that to how the southerly flow around the eastern edge of this trough draws humid air north from the Gulf of Mexico and the western Atlantic, and you have a recipe for rising, moist air, which creates a lot of rain and storms. The Storm Prediction Center is watching this area on Thursday for the potential for some stronger storms, but of greater concern than that are the saturated soils getting even more rain. Here's the rainfall projections through the weekend, and it is clear how the upper-level circulations we have been discussing are producing a lot of rainfall in places that have been quite wet recently. As harvest efforts are underway, keep a very close eye on the radar and watch out for flash flooding. Well, if one large circulation wasn't enough to watch, there's another major feature in the atmosphere that we have to pay close attention to in the coming days. First, here's our cutoff low that will keep temperatures cool and the Carolinas and Virginia wet. Notice how the circulation is closed, and the main branch of the jet stream flows to its north rather than through the trough. That is why it's sticking around for so long. The jet stream isn't picking it up and carrying it off to the east. But much more importantly to the long-term forecast is this circulation in the Caribbean near the Lesser Antilles. This is Tropical Storm Matthew. On satellite, Matthew appears as a large center of tropical thunderstorms, and not too much like a hurricane just yet. But we must watch this feature very closely. And here's why. Model forecasts have this system potentially impacting either the Gulf Coast or the East Coast of the United States. Forecast uncertainty is very high at this point, as you can see in the incredible spread in the forecast tracks. That is why we must watch this closely. Meteorologically, Matthew will ultimately have to contend with an upper-level ridge over the northeastern United States and a deepening trough over the Midwest that will decide its fate. And those two features could keep this system from hitting the United States. But I am very, very uncertain about this forecast, as it is more than a week away. This animation shows the latest projections for precipitation for the next 10 days. First, the upper-level trough produces rain in the mid-Atlantic, and then watch the heavy rains of Matthew skirt along the southeast coast and the Outer Banks. Any shift in that track could bring that heavy rainfall into the southeast and dump a lot of rain on fields that are ready for harvest. We must keep an eye on this over the next week, as this rain could play an integral role in the quality and yield for the 2016 crop. Well, thank you for watching this weather update, and as always, we at Agrible aim to provide the most timely and useful weather forecast information so as to help you plan your operations. Thank you.